often talk about resilience, but what happens when your life begins with fire, loss, and abandonment? How do we find identity when trauma has tried to rewrite your story? And how do you forgive when forgiveness feels impossible, right? Great questions, right? So, hey everyone, welcome to Healthy My Healthy Life. I'm your host Avik, and today we are diving into a story that is both heartbreaking and breathtaking. One that reminds us that even the deepest scars can become the strongest testimonials. So, the listeners, today's guest knows that journey intimately. So, please welcome my guest, Avonley Lightstone. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure and an honor to be on your show.
Amazing. So, dear listeners, before we delve deep into the discussion, I'll quickly love to introduce you with Avonlea. So, she is the author of Strength of Scars, a raw and redemptive autobiography that chronicles her early childhood marked by tragedy, abuse, and the pain, and the extraordinary faith that carried her through. So, at just 3 years old, she tried to save her mother from a house fire. Her mother didn't survive, and her father overcame, uh, overcome by addiction, placed her up for the adoption. So, what followed was years of emotional and the physical abuse, yet also the beginning of a transformation that only God's grace could write. So, Everly now speaks to the brokenhearted, the silent survivors, and anyone who has wondered like if freedom is possible on the other side of the pain. So she's here to share how faith met fire and how scars became the strength, and how her story is the proof that God can turn trauma into testimony. So I'll not take much of your time, dear listeners. Let's get into the discussion, and Avonlea, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
So Avonlea, your story begins with the unimaginable loss at such a young age, and um, looking back, like what do you remember? I mean, uh, about those early moments, and how did they shape the way you understood love and safety as a child?
Thank you so much for reading the biography. Yes, my tragedy started at the age of 3 years old when I tried to save my mother from a house fire. My dad was drunk and passed out, unresponsive, um, and then I was taken to the hospital to recover, and that was when my mom ended up passing away a few days later. And at that moment, my dad stopped showing up after my mom had passed away. And I was just kind of alone by myself, trying to recover and trying to make sense of everything that just happened. Um, at 3 years old, when something shocking happens, you definitely need a parent's love and nurturing. And usually that was my mom, but she was gone. And my dad, pretty much disappeared and he never showed up. And so that was like a really hard transition for me to like comprehend what was going on in the hospital as I was recovering. Um, and then once I was recovered, most of it, I was released from the hospital and I was able to go home. And as soon as I went home, I was then just to I remember going to a church, a Catholic church, where I paid my last respect to my mom because I wasn't at her service. And and right after that was I did that, I was taken into the orphanage by my dad. And so that was like that was really hard for me as a 3-year-old because I was excited to come home because I hadn't seen my family for so long just to be taken to the orphanage to be adopted. and I didn't see my family ever again. Um, and then I was adopted into a family, like, in the orphanage, they grew me to get ready for you to be, the perfect child
Mm,
for these American families that are wanting to adopt, children. So I had to be groomed, and I had to get rid of my identity of where I came from and, the culture. I had to really smother that away and just really focus on being this American, child and learn English, proper English, learn, how to, um, eat properly, like, I couldn't eat with my hands, just a lot of things that I had to change my culture, and that was a little, different and unsettling 'cause it was just I wasn't quite sure what was going on. But during that moment when I saw other family members coming to take children, I started to get a grip of the idea of what was gonna happen with me. Families would come and take their children, they would bring gifts, and so the children were really happy, and the parents, their new parents were really kind to them. So, yeah, I was excited, at that point where I was waiting. It was like a gift. You're gonna open your own gift, like, what
mm,
what was my family gonna be like? What was my parents gonna look like? So, I was kinda looking forward towards that. And I did end up getting adopted to a family here in Utah, um, where everything was nice and peachy and went well until, I would say 6 months after I was there that everything started to unleash. My mom's true colors started coming out. She wasn't patient, she was very narcissistic and took a lot of, anger out on me, and, she started
mm,
abusing me, and so what's really sad about this whole encounter was, um, she had adopted 14 other kids, and 3 of them were already, out of the house before I came, the rest of the Lovett kids, and, there was the same patterns that was going on. Um, there was the scapegoat, there was a, golden child, and then there was just every other child that just wanted to be loved, and they would do anything to get attention and love and just getting some sort of recognition, even if it meant to put somebody else down, to bring themselves up, to make them look like they were loved, which was really sad. And, during those time, I wasn't quite sure what was going on. I didn't quite understand. I did get adopted into a religious home, which was a happy thing because it was knowing that God existed. It was what really helped me get through a lot of this. So I remember going to church and I was told, "Hey, you could pray to God whenever you want. God loves you." So I really took that to heart, and I did. I ended up praying a lot. I cried myself to sleep as I prayed, prayed out because I grew up on a ranch, so I was around a lot of like land. And so I would just go out in my field and pray, go and preach to the cows because I felt like that was my safe place because at least the word of God felt true and safe, and I just like that it resonated, and I just wanted to share those inspiring words to my animal friends. And so, that's really what got me through a lot of it was knowing that God existed. Even though you can't see him, you just that faith of knowing that he was there is what really helped me.
exactly. Exactly true. Whew. And I mean, do you feel like those early experiences planted both the wounds and seeds of strength in you?
Yeah, I would say I would definitely say so. It's definitely not like something that anybody wishes to go through, like the different trials in their lives. We don't ever wish to go through hardship, But as I grow up and I look back on my life and I reflect on it, I realize that it was actually a blessing that I went through the situations that I did, especially compared to my other siblings that were treated really well. Um, they ended up having a different outlook in life. They were more enabled and entitled to things, and they had a very gossipy mindset, uh, just a really toxic relationship. And I look back and I really am happy that I don't have that kind of mindset because it like that toxic energy does not help shape anyone. It destroys people. And I would rather have went through what I went through and stayed humble, kind of sweet than ever having the mindset of destroying somebody else's life by just the words that they cause. So yes, I do think like if I were to go back, I think that I would do things a little differently, but I know that the things that I went through was what really strengthened me.
Got it. Yeah. So, um, in your book, you share openly about the abuse you endured after adoption. Like many survivors carry shame or silence. So, what gave you the courage to not only face that past, but to write it publicly?
That's a really good question. I get this question asked a lot. Um, honestly, I there was a time I think I believe I was just having my kids, and during those time I was really focusing on like forgiveness because I really didn't want to carry the trauma with me anymore and be hurt by it. So I did a lot of like forgiveness and um approaching my mom and asking her like, "Hey, let's make this right. I forgive you, but the path that we're going on, like there's going to be a divide. Like there's already a divide, but it's going to be worse. Like do you want this division to be pretty apparent and destroyed? Or do you want to just let go of everything that happened? We can forgive you and we can move forward with just, picking up the pieces and starting over, especially where a lot of my siblings started getting married, having kids. It would just be really nice to have all the cousins grow up really close together. But she refused for, I would say I tried 4 times of just asking her like, "Go, I forgive you. Let's like mend this relationship with everyone." And she refused. And it was at that point, I was doing a lot of healing. And during some of the healings that I've done was writing my thoughts down. So I remember being on Google Docs and writing a lot of my thoughts down and letters that I was going to send to her because I was angry at the time. But I never sent it to her. I just kept writing and just being frustrated. And then that's one point I just told God, I can't do this anymore. Like I've done everything I possibly could. I've been nice to this lady. I've been nice to this family. I just keep getting persecuted and being put down and being treated poorly. How can I move past this pain? Because a lot of the pain and abuse led to me being suicidal when I was younger, and to that time period that I was going through my healing journey, I was still suicidal. And I was telling God, like, I can't have these kind of mental illnesses and thoughts in my head that's causing me to like do these things, especially now that I have kids. I gotta let these go. I gotta let any of these patterns go so then I don't like default the same pattern onto my kids. I wanted to cut off with me. And then I just remember God telling me, like, It's okay. You did everything that you needed to do, and I'm proud of you. So now what I want you to do is your parents, your mom, she's failed you pretty much. And so you just need to let her go because she's on her own journey. And I can't change her the choices that she makes. I have to allow her to make those choices. So because I've tried to make things right, he just told me to like take all my feelings that I wish I had with a mom and place that on him. Just come to me as if I was your mom. Come to me as if you wish you had that healthy relationship where you can share exciting news, even frustrations, just any news. Just come to me and treat me as if I was that one. So I did that. I said, okay, I let my mom go and my family. I just let them be. And then I just focused on myself and God. And I gave everything to God. I just talked to him the way that he asked me to. And in that moment, he healed me of the broken thoughts of like wanting to take end my own life and just just the crazy thoughts that would come to me. He healed those, and so I no longer have the desire of hurting myself, and that's just like an awesome, exciting news for me because that is something that always struggled with. But it was after many years, I was like told, okay, you need to write that book. You need to write a book about your life. And I remember asking God, like, no, wait, I don't want to write this book. I don't want to bring back those memories again. I left it and I was fine with it and I want to move on because it's very like nerve-wracking, it's sensitive, and I was okay leaving the things behind. But he said, no, my children out in the world are aching and they're in pain. And there's some that are in worse condition than you are. And they just need some sort of word that can help heal their journeys. So, writing your book will help them. It's not about you, it's about others. So, I really took that into heart and started thinking, like, yes, this world is completely broken. You hear all over the news, you see it on Instagram, social media, people talking about the abuse that they go through or just the sad traumas that they go through, and how, like, well, I probably could help a lot of these people on how to deal with a lot of their scars in their life, and that it doesn't identify who they are, and that they could use their scars as something as a turning point of seeing the strength in themselves. And so that is when I started writing the book, and it really helped because the words that I had written a long time ago as I was healing on my Google Docs, I had never deleted them. And so I went back and there was a lot of memories that came up, and I was able to write, and God helped me write it.
Totally agree. Yep. So, and so this might be contradictory, but actually not. Uh, some people hear stories like yours and think that faith is just a kind of coping mechanism, uh, something people cling to when life feels unbearable. So, how would you respond to those who feel or who see that faith as a um, crutch rather than lifeline?
Rather than what?
Lifeline.
Faith gives there faith and hope goes hand in hand. And when you think of faith, faith is believing something that you can't see, and you hope for the best. And so if you want to find the best version of yourself and to overcome something, like, you have to have some sort of belief that you're gonna get through it. And so having a little bit of faith, just like God said like a little bit like a small mustard seed, many people will bypass and see like, oh, that's just a seed. Like we will not even see it because it's so small. But that little small mustard seed, when it's planted and it's nurtured, it grows to something big and gigantic. That's like us. You know, like we are small, especially in our time that we feel broken. Like we feel like we're not capable because we've had a lot of people around us saying things that we're not that are not strengthening, that's not helping us lift us. And so those words actually ends up hurting us and suppressing us even more. But if you can, like, get past the thoughts of what other people think of you and just find a way of who you are. Like, are you the people that other people identify you as, or are you more? And so you have to start asking those questions with yourself. And you have to believe that you are more than other people say that you are. And with that belief is what's going to help carry you.
Got it. Yeah. So, do you think that your healing would have looked different, or maybe even possible without your faith?
Yeah, I would say so. If I didn't have like if I didn't have like any like religious background, if I didn't know that God existed, I don't think I would honestly have made it because I clung onto the idea that something greater was out there. And that idea helped shape me. It helped heal me, heal my wounds. It helped protect me in many situations where I would have died. And I look back and I see the hands that God was that played in my life. And so if I didn't have that, I honestly don't think I would have healed properly. I would be completely broken still.
Exactly. Understood. Yeah. I love that honesty because it invites both the believers and skeptics to lean into the conversation and see that faith isn't about bypassing the pain, but it's all about walking through it with a hope. So, and if a listener right now feels like their scars are only reminders of pain, so what would you tell them to help them see the possibility of strength?
Oh, yeah, this is a good one. So,
Mhm.
scars,
Yeah.
I use this analogy where somebody that gets bit by a shark and they're left with a scar. Most people, when they ask, like, what happened there, they would say, oh, yeah, I got attacked by a shark. And people would admire that. Oh my gosh, you should be really proud of yourself because, like getting attacked by a shark and you surviving that shark attack, that's amazing. People applause for someone that has scars, physical scars that has to do with like shark attacks or just surviving in a tragic event. They applaud that like a bear attack. It's like, whoa, that's so cool. Um, and you're still alive. It's no different from the inner scars that you do have that is invisible that you can't see. Those ones are just as powerful or even so much more that somebody has endured because it's the silent scars that is in you that people don't see that makes you should shine even brighter because they don't know your story. They don't know how you survived. Only you do. And the way you decide to approach it and look at it and how you're gonna tell your story, if you're gonna be victim, you're gonna be in a sad state all the time. But if you look past the victimhood and start sharing your story and seeing your story as something of, oh my gosh, those scars are something that I've see as a strength in me. I've survived that, and I'm still alive, and that's amazing. That is something you should hold strong to who you are, because it is part of what you went through. It's not your identity. It's not who you are.
Yeah.
It's just part of your story, and you should be able to hold that story and take. I use the story of like Jesus Christ. You know, every single person has scars, whether it's physical or internal, invisible scar. Even the perfect man, Jesus Christ, had scars, and his story is shared all across the world. And he has scars. He shows his scars to us to build our faith. So then our scars can be a tool to stand up and fight for our own selves and for to help other people. It's to uplift others. And so even the perfect man has scars.
Exactly. Exactly. Amazing. That's such a needed reminder. And scars don't mean that we are broken, they mean we have healed, and that healing itself can become a message for others. So that's amazing. So, Everly, thank you so much for your rawness, your faith, and your courage. And I would say that you have reminded us that our past does not disqualify us, it can become the very foundation of our testimony. So, for all the listeners, like maybe your story has chapters that you wish you could erase, but today's conversation reminds us that God doesn't waste pain, He transforms it, He rewrites it, and He gives us the strength to rise beyond it. So, if you'd like to dive deeper into Avonley's journey, I encourage you to get her book, Strength of Scars, and connect with her online. And her story is a beacon of hope for anyone who feels lost in the fire of their own life. So, uh, and also remember, dear listeners, that your scars don't define your weakness. So, they declare your survival. So, let them speak, let them shine, and let them guide you into your purpose. So, Avonlea, if someone wants to connect with you, what will be the great medium to connect?
So I'm on my social media at Avonley Lightstone. You can find me at that name. You can always go to my website, and I offer a free chapter of my book. So if you want a glimpse of what that looks like, go ahead and get your copy. That first chapter is really achy and heartfelt and so sad. And I know you guys will enjoy it. So if you want a glimpse of what my book kind of entails, go ahead and get a chapter before you purchase it. But yeah, I have 3 other books that are gonna be coming out. My last book is the foundation of the different abuses that we go through. And yeah, if you follow me on Avonlea Lightstone, I'll be able to keep you updated on when those other books come out because it's the 4th book that's gonna really help other people with the traumas in their life.
Amazing. So, dear listeners, what I'll do is I'll put all the links into the show notes for your easy reference. And with this hope, until next time, this is your host, Avik, signing off from Healthy Mind, Healthy Life. Stay rooted in a faith, stay resilient in hope, and never forget that your healing can become someone else's light. So, thank you so much.